Hello and welcome, fellow digital soldiers, to True Reporting. It is February 17th, and on today's podcast, we'll be covering an article from 2013. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why is he covering an article from 2013? Because yesterday it was brought up, this very article, on 8chan. A lot of Anons found this and started researching it, and it's entitled from the Daily Beast, Inside the Q Group, the Directorate Hunting Down Edward Snowden. So, the top secret Q Group has been chasing Edward Snowden since he disappeared in May. Eli Lake on the Intel community's internal police, and why the agency is in complete freak-out mode. So, guys, we all know that Snowden has been in a ton of Q posts, and we're going to get to the bottom of why this Q team has been around for so long and why haven't they been activated until now. But before we get into all of that, would you please go ahead and click the bell to get notifications so when I post, you'll be the first to know. Also, follow me on Twitter at True Reporting, and don't forget to leave a like. The more likes that this video receives, the more times it is recommended to other viewers, thus more eyes on the truth. With that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and hop into it. This is True Reporting. So as I said, just got done finished saying that this is referring to a Q group back in, what is this, June 2013. So we're talking 6 years ago, right? So what does that tell me? That tells me that this Q group, Q team, has been around for a long time. Part of the NSA, we all know that. And we know that Edward Snowden had Q clearance. So, what I'm suggesting is that I don't think that this Q group was allowed to be activated until they got their guy in, POTUS, DJT. They needed someone to get in there because the NSA was exposing everyone. And we all knew that that was always in the mainstream media, that the government is watching you, there's no privacy. Well, in my opinion, maybe they had to do that so that they could track these enemies, these enemy combatants, as Q so eloquently puts it. And if Hillary Clinton, was president, none of this would have happened. It would have been a purge. It wouldn't have been such a smooth operation. So, I will continue with the article. It says, even before last week's revelations by the Guardian newspaper that the National Security Agency, the NSA, was collecting call records from telecommunication companies and had the ability to mine user data from major U.S. internet companies. The NSA was already on the trail of the leaker, according to two former U.S. intelligence officers with close ties to the agency. On Sunday, The Guardian revealed its source, a 29-year-old former U.S. Army soldier and CIA employee named Edward Snowden. Now let's remember, he is a plant. He was planted in there to leak information, obviously to the deep state. And one thing that completely validates that he's a black hat, is because the MSM back then was making him out to be a patriot. He's not a patriot. And we know that the MSM is the greatest threat to the American people, correct? Snowden, who worked as a contract employee at an NSA station in Hawaii, said he agreed to have his identity revealed because he feared that the NSA would put pressure on his family and friends for information about his whereabouts. Again, he's a black hat. The NSA, the Q team, are white hats. So you can see the optics within this article, even 6 years ago. That's how awake we've become, right? It's awesome. From a hotel in Hong Kong, he told The Guardian he expected he would never be allowed to return home and that he could end up in prison or murdered because of his decision to leak. Again, they're making him out to be a good guy. The people who began chasing Snowden work for the Associate Directorate for Security and Counterintelligence. According to former U.S. intelligence officers who spoke on condition of anonymity, the Directorate, sometimes known as the Q Group, is continuing to track Snowden now that he has outed himself as the Guardian source. According to the intelligence officer, Snowden began final preparations for his departure 3 weeks ago. The Guardian reports, copying the final documents he intended to share, telling his supervisor that he would need time off for medical treatment, and his girlfriend simply that he would be away. That is not an uncommon occurrence for someone who has spent the last decade working in the intelligence world. He told the paper in his interview from Hong Kong. The Security and Counterintelligence Directorate serves as the NSA's internal police force, in effect watching the agency's watchers for behavior that could pose an intelligent risk. That's the cover, right? It has the authority to interview NSA contractor or employees known associates, and even to activate a digital dragnet capable of finding out where a target travels, what the target has purchased, and the target's online activity. In quotes, he says, "We have seen the latest report from The Guardian that identifies an individual claiming to have disclosed information about highly classified intelligence programs in the recent days." Office of the Director of National Intelligence spokesperson Sean Turner said in a statement issued Sunday, the intelligence community is currently reviewing the damage that has been done by these recent disclosures. Any person who has security clearance knows that he or she has an obligation to protect classified information and abide by the law. And what he is saying is true. But back then, the mainstream media was trying to flip it, saying that Snowden is a patriot and he's trying to help everyone out, even exposing everyone. But we were already exposed. We just didn't know. It wasn't in the public eye at this point. And, you know, him being chased throughout Hong Kong, we remember all of that from the Q post, and I'm going to get into that right after this. So yeah, again, he does have Q clearance. We remember because QAnon told us. It informs our adversaries. It puts American companies at risk internationally for simply complying with our laws, said Mike Hayden. And again, Edward Snowden was definitely working with the deep state and working with the DNC and Democrats, right? Leaking information. A former director of the NSA and former director of the CIA, it teaches practically everyone in the world, sources, liaison services, that America can't keep secrets. The impact of the leak inside the NSA has been enormous. There's complete freakout mode at the agency right now. One former intelligence officer tells the Daily Beast, "There has never been anything like this in the terms of the speed of referral of crime report to the Justice Department. Normally, this kind of thing takes weeks and weeks. Snowden's disappearance in May was immediately noticed by the directorate, and when The Guardian published the first court order and then documents associated with a program called PRISM, Snowden immediately became the leading suspect in the leak," the intelligence source said, adding that the FBI was now investigating the leak as well. And we all know how corrupt the FBI is. In Congress, some members have already called for the United States to pursue Snowden's extradition and prosecute him for his unauthorized disclosures. If Edward Snowden did in fact leak the NSA data as he claims, the United States government must prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law and begin extradition proceedings at the earliest date. Representative Peter King, the Republican chairman of the Homeland Security Subcommittee on Counterintelligence and Terrorism, said in a statement Sunday, Hayden dismissed the criticism that terrorists already knew the NSA was collecting vast amount of telephone metadata before Snowden's leak. "Let me get this right," he says. "I got a religious fanatic in the cave in Hindu Kush, yet this is the front page above the fold story, and he already knew this?" He asked rhetorically. That does not make sense. It will teach guys to be far more cautious in the future. The former U.S. intelligence officers, however, said that the case is already being treated as potential defection. "I think it is really tragic that an American has to move to a place that has a reputation for less freedom," Snowden told The Guardian. Oh my gracious. "Still, Hong Kong has reputation for freedom in spite of the People's Republic of China. It has a strong tradition of free speech." The former U.S. intelligence officer, though, compared Snowden with William Hamilton Martin and Vernon F. Mitchell, two NSA cryptologists who defected to the Soviet Union on June 25, 1960. Both held as a press conference at the time where they disclosed U.S. spying programs from Moscow. An NSA assessment of that defection a few years later called it the worst intelligence breach in the history of the NSA. a mark that may have just been passed. Press officers for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and the NSA declined to comment for this story. So we go from here to this. You can go to qmap.pub. You can go into search and just type in Snowden and look at this. Snowden, where are you? Not Russia, Hong Kong, right? This is from February 18, 2018, a year ago. Welcome to China, Snowden. March 5th. It should be clear in this context. Edward Snowden equals at Snowden. So they've been following this guy for a long time. He is definitely a black hat, correct? At Snowden 24 Twitter. Direct ties to Jack Dorsey also. We can find more. What if Snowden was still a clown? And then you can see here throughout Hong Kong, chasing him, right? Unbelievable. At Snowden, truth to power, drop truth to power, learn, Q. Talking directly to him. Snowden, you are now a liability. Absolutely. That's just what I read in the article, right? Absolutely. What about Snowden? Negotiating for return, traitor, mission to harm the NSA. Remember? Future proves past. Unbelievable. This is just more Q proofs right here. I'm reading it to you front and center, guys. All of these posts about Edward Snowden. Unbelievable, guys. So I wanted to share this with you. I found it to be incredible. And again, this was released yesterday. Someone found it on 8chan. So, you know, pretty crazy stuff. You are now a liability, helping at Jacked. At Jack. This is pretty crazy too. Remember this post? Project Deep Dream. You can go back in my older videos to check out what Project Deep Dream is. We will never forget Eric Snowden has failed. This is all about MK Ultra, guys. This Project Deep Dream. We all know that there are a lot of people who are brainwashed, especially by the MSM and algorithms out there. Everything that is watching you, 5G, anything like that, is definitely doing harm to us. Chemtrails, you name it. But it's all out there, guys, and I wanted to share this with you because I found it to be extremely important and very interesting, to say the least. So, if you found this informative and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. Please follow me on Twitter at True Reporting, and don't forget to leave a like. You can also donate to this channel to keep it alive by going to my PayPal or my Patreon in the description box below. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Expect many more podcasts throughout the day. And be kind and safe to one another. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.